My brother confessed that he's in love with me, and we're not real siblings. I, Jane 23 female, kept debating on whether I should write this, and ultimately, I decided I should. My brother confessed that he's in love with me, and we're not real siblings. To clarify, he's a year older than me. A few hours ago, my brother called me and was clearly drunk at the bar, which is odd because he doesn't drink often, especially alone. I told him to wait there so that I could pick him up and he wouldn't have to drive back to his place. When I met him, I found out that he had broken up with his girlfriend of 2 years. To be honest, I'm surprised they didn't break up sooner. They got along well, but he never seemed attached to her. I think he only dated her because our family and friends always teased him about never having a girlfriend, even though he was popular in school, played football, etc. A lot of girls liked him, but he never seemed to be interested in anyone, so I and everyone in our friends' circle always assumed that he might be gay. But we didn't confronted him with this assumption. He acted a little strange while I was driving him. He kept reaching over and playing with my hair and saying, "You have pretty hair, you know that? I always thought your hair was pretty." This weirded me out a bit because he usually makes fun of my hair and never acts touchy-feely. I thought this was just the way he acted when drunk, so I laughed it off and figured I was going to make fun of him about this tomorrow. We got into his apartment and he said that he had something to tell me, and there was a reason why he and his girlfriend broke up. I told him I knew already because me and all our friends thought that he was gay, and he said, "No, I'm not gay." In an awkward way, Ed looked shocked to hear that we all thought of him as gay. Then he blurted out that he's in love with me. I couldn't say anything other than what? And then he said that we're not real siblings. I freaked out and said, "Stop it, you're drunk, just go to sleep," and ran out. Now I'm back at my place and I'm so confused. I don't know how I'm going to face my brother now. I'm trying to rationalize this, and maybe he wasn't thinking clearly since he was drunk. We're very close and have a good relationship, but it's not a gross incestuous one at all. I remember when we lived together at home, I'd try to sneak into his room and sleep there. I get scared of ghosts, especially after watching horror movies, and he would kick me off the bed and tell me to get out. There were a couple of times where he'd accidentally walk in on me while I was changing, and he always yelled at me to lock the door and acted grossed out. Even when we played video games, he hated it whenever I tackled him to try to mess him up and said I needed to stop, or he wouldn't play with me anymore. So he has always acted repulsed by me and makes fun of me all the time, like a typical brother would. He has never made me feel uncomfortable or tried to make a move on me. He's a good guy, so there was no way that he would like me romantically, right? Right now, I don't know what to do and can't even sleep. I don't want to call my friends since they're also friends with him, and we're all close. Our parents should be asleep right now, but I'm not sure if I want to call them either, because I'm scared of finding out that we're not actually a family. I think that's what bothers me most about this whole situation, that I'll find out all this time I'm not part of the family after all. I'm afraid of bringing this topic up and finding out the truth, but eventually I'm going to have to talk to my brother, and when that time comes, what should I do? Should I explain what he said or act like it never happened? Since he was drunk, he might not even remember tonight. Plus, it might not even be true. I called my brother the next day when he had sobered up. I asked him if he remembered last night, and he said he didn't at all. I explained that I drove him back to his apartment, where he told me that we weren't real siblings, and I wanted him to elaborate more on this if this was true. He was silent for a moment and then said that this was something I needed to talk about with our parents, not him. I called our parents. They asked me how I had found out about this, and I said my brother told me. This came as a surprise to them because they thought both of us didn't know. We had a really long conversation, but I finally found out the truth. It's a long story, and I won't reveal all the details because this is a personal family matter. But basically, it turns out that both my brother and I were adopted. It was a long conversation, but a very fulfilling one. I cried not because I wasn't part of the family anymore, but because I knew we were still family, blood related or not. I feel very lucky to have grown up with such loving, caring parents and brother. A few minutes after our conversation ended, my brother actually drove over my apartment to check if I was okay. We talked about it, and apparently he had found out that we both had completely different parents when he was in elementary school. He heard the story from our mom's phone call with our aunt, but she was completely unaware that my brother overheard the conversation, and he never told me because he knew I'd freak out about not being part of the family. And at that stage of my life, he was right, of course. The news has broken my heart at this age also, so I cannot imagine the pain it would have caused. B when I was a child. He said that I actually am taking the news better than he did at his childhood, and admitted he had trouble coping with not being family as we grew up. We had a good talk where I said, ultimately, this doesn't matter, because the fact that we consider each other as family is what's most important, and he agreed. Things between us are back to normal now. We went out for lunch when he asked me if he had told me anything else last night when he was drunk. I didn't want to bring up the other part of his confession, so I just said no. He asked if I was absolutely sure he might have said anything strange to me. I said I didn't remember much. Bad lie, but I really did not want to bring up the other topic. Then he told me that when he gets drunk, he usually makes up a bunch of weird things. So if he ever blurts anything out, just forget about it. This made me feel a lot better about our situation after knowing he was that type of drunk. I actually feel really stupid for jumping to conclusions. My nerves have definitely settled now, and once again, I am very, very grateful for the family that I have. It's made me feel a lot more at ease about finding out my family's situation. I'm going to keep telling myself that even if I'm not biologically related to my brother parents, I'm still part of a family who loves and cares for me like any other daughter, and I'm very lucky for that. Tomorrow, I will call my brother and parents to ask them if we are blood related. I will not bring up the love part in his confession, since I think that was probably the result of alcohol. Most likely, he didn't mean it,